Travis.
Yeah.
I opened my phone up and I looked at my Blockfolio.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
Oh man. You know what? Well, all you gotta do is hodl. I mean, that's the way it is. Crypto goes up, crypto goes down. What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Maybe if we invite Ronnie Moas to the show, he could cheer us up. You think?
I'm not sure that he cheers anybody up, but he's a nice guy. He means well.
We want. Well, let's see if Moar Moas will do it. It's episode 133 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Hey, this is James Altucher. You're listening to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Stay bad.
Two dudes talking crypto. Two dudes talking crypto. Joel and Travis are just two dudes talking crypto. Oh, yeah.
Well, with such a happy song, I'm happy again, Travis.
That is good. It sounds like you might have some chemical imbalances you might need to talk about.
You know what? Actually, the truth is I'm pretty unfazed by the dramatic rises and falls. I see it all, and I'm just like, you know what? That's all magical.
Internet. Money.
And it doesn't, I don't have the emotional highs and lows. And I think that's why, one of the things that many actual financial advisors state, as well as Ronnie Moas, who will be joining us in a moment, is that you never invest more than you could afford to lose. Mm-hmm. And if you have that mindset, then crypto goes up, crypto goes down.
You got to know when to hodl, know when to fodl, know when to go to fiat, know when to run.
Know when to move to Cayman Islands. Well, welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Over 4 million downloads now of the show, and we're not even into a year of this yet. So thanks for listening. And if you have some friends that have not yet heard the show, then if you're a true friend, you'll tell them about the show, because you'll be like, I want you to be bad. And here's how.
That's true. Or one thing I like to do is like say, hey, open up iTunes podcast app. All right. Hey, search for crypto. Boom. Bad Crypto. Click that. Those guys are hilarious. You should listen to those guys. And
that's great.
It's or you can say, Alexa, play the Bad Crypto Podcast.
If we just ticked off somebody because.
Bad Crypto Podcast.
Oh, wow. There she goes.
It is from TuneIn.
Some would say that creating a token.
Alexa, stop.
Yeah, I know. She's always like doing stuff. Anyhow, we do have with us for is it 6th time that Ronnie's with us, or the 5th? I can't.
Fifth time. Yes. Because I tweeted to him. I go, yes. He goes, he made a comment because I was late. He said noon. We're doing the call at noon. I didn't necessarily see it in my calendar, but then Mr. Joel Comm calls me at like 11:17. It's like, where are you? Ronnie's waiting. I'm like, oh, dude, I was thinking it was noon. Anyways, and so then he calls me out on that on the Twitters, and then I said, well, it's a shame that it's not going to be a 6th time to have you on the show.
Ronnie's got a lot to say. Yeah, he spent the week at Consensus in New York, and so he also has input on the crypto dips, which I think heretofore we should refer to as diptos.
We should not. We actually shouldn't do that.
His projections. But before we get to that, let's read a few of the funny 5-star reviews that you guys have sent in. This one is by a name that is just a bunch of consonants strung together with one vowel.
No, that's Dinfizzle.
Yeah. It's titled The Devil Went Down to Bad Town. I'm going to try this. Well, the devil went down to Bad Town. He was looking for Travis and Joel, but they flipped it instead, turned the devil on his head, and both got to keep their soul. The devil gave chase, but he had weak case, and he began to get mad. One thing's for sure, them boys is pure and 100% bad. Go Travis and Joel, run boys, run.
Nice. That's not bad, but then I'm not sure who the person is who did that one. Didn't fizzle. Nice. Yeah. Excellent. Crypto Podcast says Skilo. I love the name Skilo. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her. These dudes just chill back and dish out easily digestible crypto knowledge. They got that cruising with crypto Casey Kasem vibe going on, and I love it. I also love me some XLM Lumens, which they did fantastic analysis on during the top 10 crypto countdown. Good luck, dudes. And remember, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Yeah, baby. And you know what? The countdowns that we did seem to be really popular. And so we're thinking about maybe taking other coins in the top 100 market cap and 5 at a time on an episode, covering as many of them as possible, at least with an overview. So keep listening for that. This guy.
5 crypto talking tokens.
Talking tokens. McKinney Tech wrote, Luminaries. What is crypto? Who knows? Fleeting bits in a computer, flipping back and forth. Smart geeks making money at the expense of lesser geeks. Dangling digital bait and waiting for a bite. Dangle, wait, bite, yank, and another coin is born. Some legit, some unfit, all crypto bits. These guys watch for the dangle, give you an angle, and they seem to be expert yankers.
Wow. Thanks, McKinney Tech. That was good. Not McKinsey. McKinsey, they have a really good reputation. McKinney, don't know about them, but you're a yanker wanker yourself, man.
You didn't say wanker.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yanker. I don't know, yanker. Trainwreck. Hey, those have the same initials as my name. Travis Wright, Trainwreck. This podcast is a train wreck, but with a happy twist. Most train conductors have confidence and a smile that says, I know what I'm doing. The conductors of this train do not have that. They are proud to be bad, happy to not know anything, and smitten by horrible dad jokes and songs. Somehow, though, they keep the train on the tracks, keep it moving, and actually get you the information you've been looking for. This is definitely the baddest show I listen to, but not the worst.
Finally Happy wrote that. So we are happy that you finally wrote that review. And we would invite you guys, wherever it is that you submit reviews, write us a funny 5-star review. If you think we've deserved a 5-star review, if you want to write us a 1-star review, that's fine. Submit it to www.whitehouse.gov. Send your 1-star reviews there. I know that, they like getting criticism.
They do. Who doesn't like getting criticism, though? I mean,
yeah, you guys suck. 1 star. Anyway, we appreciate that. And please do share the show with a friend. As we said, Mr. Ronnie Moas is back from standpointresearch.com. And let's go to the interview. Back for the 5th time to the Bad Crypto Podcast, a man who needs no introduction, but I think I just gave him one. Mr. Ronnie Moas, welcome back. The return of Ronnie.
Thank you for having me.
Is this 5? I thought this was 4.
No. 60, 70, 80, 106, and whatever this one is. 130.
Nice. Number 5. Wow.
Yeah, he's keeping track.
Very good. He has all the numbers down. He knows all the numbers. He's Ronnie Moas.
Yeah. And he's got a new microphone. So he's going to sound, his tones are going to be a little bit more dulcet. And there's a lot to talk about. I mean, you sent us
my microphone is so good right now. I'm thinking to change my name to Communications, like yours is.
Oh, I see what you did there, Ronnie. Here come the jokes, gang. All right,
I was on Wikipedia. I looked you up, and they said when your family came over from Liverpool on the boat and landed in Ellis Island, they shortened your last name from Communications to COMM.
That may or may not be a lie. Probably is.
Ronnie's the trickster.
He is, but there's a lot to say because since the last time he's been on the show, some interesting things have happened in the market. He's done some looking at technical analysis. He's been to Consensus in New York, and I know there's a lot to talk about. So where do you want to start, Ronnie?
We could start with Consensus. That was quite an event. It was last week in New York. I think it was May 14th until the 18th. There were dozens of crypto and blockchain events in New York. It was Blockchain Week in New York City. And the main event was the Consensus conference on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown. They have a few hotels in the city, but this one was the hotel on 54th Street and 6th Avenue.
Okay, so how was it?
The main complaint that people had was that they sold too many tickets. There were more than 8,000 people there, and this is inside a hotel. So it was basically, they turned the hotel into Grand Central Station for 3 days. They took in $25 million in revenue, and anybody that wanted a ticket got one. They should have limited the number of tickets that they sold to 5,000 or 6,000 and not sold 8,000. And it probably should have been held at the convention center and not inside a hotel. Other than that, I imagine most people that went there were happy with what they got. There were more than 100 speakers there during the 3 days, and there were a lot of panels. And me in particular, I didn't sit in on many of the presentations. I was just there to give my followers on Twitter and my subscribers a chance to meet me in person. Because even though I've done a lot of shows in the last year, this is the first one I did in the Northeast. So I got to meet dozens of people from the media, subscribers of mine and followers on Twitter that I had never met before in person. And that was really nice.
Yeah, with 8,500 people in attendance or somewhere around that, that seems to me that should have been at the Javits, convention center instead of at, a hotel. And hopefully they'll fix that next year. And, you said everybody who could get tickets could get tickets. Joel and Travis could not get tickets. We're not fancy enough to get tickets yet.
Well, not as media anyway.
Not yet.
Thanks, Jacob.
No, I don't think they gave out any free tickets. I think they took money from every person that walked in there.
Well, they didn't take ours.
They didn't.
Yeah.
We decided not to go. We watched a lot of the different. We watched a lot of the different sessions. I have anyway. I watched a lot of the different sessions online because a lot of those videos are available. What were some of the maybe some of the key takeaways or some of the things that you think that they maybe should do better?
Well, as far as presentations go, I didn't really have time to sit in on many presentations. The main one that I got to see, the two main ones that I wanted to see was Jimmy Song. I never followed him. I didn't know what his views were on crypto, and I knew he had a big following, so I made it my business to sit in on his presentation, and he scared the shit out of everyone. Because, he only believes in Bitcoin, I think. Everything else is like, a scam or worthless. I think he has maybe 2 or 3 names that he would be willing to put money into outside of Bitcoin. I think Tone Vase is in the same camp, right?
Bitcoin Max.
And then I wanted to see Jack Dorsey. He was one of the headline speakers there, and he spoke mainly about the Square company that he runs.
Very nice. So there's lots of conferences. I mean, if you actually look and take a look at all of the different Bitcoin and crypto conferences that are out there, there's schedules out there that you can take a look at, and there's an event pretty much every day somewhere in the world.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's one of the things is that I looked at, I said, well, Joel, I mean, we could go to this. There's going to be a lot of people there. Is it really worth our time? Is it really worth us collectively dropping 10 grand to go to this thing? And especially when there's so many other events going on. And so we decided to opt out.
I think it's worth it. I mean, me in particular, not only did I get to meet a lot of people that I had never met in person before, but I also gave a few interviews there as well. Coinbase had a really nice studio set up in the hotel on the 3rd level near the ballroom. And they pulled me into their broadcast booth and they did an interview with me. And you could see that it's the link to that interview is on the top, near the top of my Twitter page. And CNBC had a station set up there, and CNBC Africa. I don't know if you're familiar with the Cheddar Network.
Yeah,
I love Cheddar.
They also had.
Very good.
They also had a station set up, and it was nice. I mean, if you like networking and getting to meet people that listen to your podcast and people from the media, there was something for everyone there. But the lines to get into the bathroom were long, and the lines to get food were long, and there were people that waited an hour or an hour and a half to get their badge at registration. And there were some speakers that you couldn't get a seat because they were filled up. So that's the main gripe, is that there were too many people there. But everything else,
Probably
I think, was
not
okay.
enough.
I would
enough
go
green M&Ms, so that I don't know if I could manage that. But so let's talk about the content of what people were talking about. What was the big buzz? Because traditionally, Blockchain Week, if we look at years past, there was usually a bull run that took place concurrent and after consensus, and that just didn't happen that week.
That is a concern of mine, because if they would have had this in January and Bitcoin was at $20,000, I could understand if there was no bounce. But this conference took place following a market overreaction to headlines from Korea, South Korea, and Japan. And it also came with Bitcoin down 55% off its high. So the Bitcoin was looking for a reason to bounce off of this conference, and it didn't. And that is a concern. I sent out a note to my subscribers yesterday that I'm a little bit concerned with the way the market is acting right now. You're hearing now, rumors of Facebook possibly putting out their own currency and other governments coming out with their own currency. I don't think Google and Amazon and Facebook and some governments around the world and all these people that are looking to get a piece of the pie, they are not going to sit on the sidelines and let Bitcoin eat their lunch. So we already went from 500 cryptocurrencies to 1,500 in the last year, and God knows where we're going to be a year from now. And every time a new crypto comes in, it is another place for people to diversify away from Bitcoin. So it's going to be a challenge for Bitcoin to hit the price target that the bulls have right now, and to hit the target within the time frame that was originally specified. So originally, if you thought Bitcoin was going to hit $50,000 in 3 years, it might take 4 or 5 years to get there, because there's going to be competition.
So McAfee's going to be eating his dick, essentially.
Yes, essentially.
He would still disagree with that.
Well, look, he made his prediction 6 months or a year ago, and a lot has changed since then. And it would be very foolish of him not to take those changes
it's kind of
into
too
consideration.
Hard to take it back now. I mean, that's a prediction he made, and nom nom nom.
It's a big prediction.
He's in quite a predicament.
Yes,
that is true. Good stuff. So, with this market changing so much, and as I mentioned, I've started doing some technical analysis. I've been ramping up on that and looking at it. And a lot of the people who are deep into the technical analysis, from what I've chatted with them, they think that Bitcoin's it has to do one more drop. It has to finish this pattern, this fifth wave pattern. And they think it's going to hit down to about 5,000 before it pops up above 14 and goes between 14 and 35,000. They say that for it to make its really big run, it has to finish this big move. Now, me not being a big technical analysis guy, and I don't know how technical analysis works in your world, but what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is that something that you can foresee happening? Is that part of it, or is technical analysis kind of just some big mythical, magical, wondrous, fictional thing?
Well, I am not a big fan of technical analysis, and I think it's worth repeating what I've been saying recently in the interviews that I gave. I had an interview with Tone Vase a couple of weeks ago, and it was seen 15,000 times on YouTube within a couple of days, and the reaction was overwhelming. I don't think I've ever gotten a reaction like that to an interview. And I will basically tell you what I told him that triggered the reaction. There are a few reasons why I don't believe in technical analysis. The main reason is as follows. Let's say I give you two charts to look at, and they are identical mirror images of each other. You are going to give me the same price forecast for each of those charts because they are identical mirror images of each other. But what if I told you the chart on the left is a name trading at 10 times earnings with $5 billion in cash and no debt on their balance sheet in a rising industry? And the chart on the right is a name trading at 40 times earnings with $5 billion in debt, no cash in a declining industry, then what are you going to say?
Right. Well, those are part of the things that go into technical analysis, right? It's not just the charts, it's some of that other ancillary information that goes into the full picture. But that totally makes sense if there's different components that come into play, but then also some of that stuff doesn't necessarily apply in the crypto world, it would seem, because not any of them are going to have, $50 billion into cash. And so maybe in the stock market world, but it definitely seems to be interesting because the ones that I've seen that are doing some technical analysis, the guys that are really good, they're pretty accurate over and over again. So there's some sort of pattern that seems to be working with technical analysis. It might not be a foolproof plan, but what is a foolproof plan?
Well, the problem that I have with you looking at a chart on Bitcoin is that nothing I wrote in my 87-page report on Bitcoin is going to show up in that chart, which means you're looking at a chart and making a decision on incomplete information. You can argue that everything that is in my report is already priced into the chart. I don't buy that. The technical analysts always take a point of reference that helps them make their argument. You can show me a 1-year chart and the stock looks like it's oversold. I'll then tell you to look at the 2-year chart and you're going to tell me that the name was overbought. So it's okay to look at a chart, but you have to also look at the fundamentals. You have to look at the valuation. You have to look at whether the company is cooking their books or not. And you have to look at who's sitting on their board of directors. Otherwise, your batting average will never be more than 50%.
It kind of reminds me, Travis, of these silly influencer lists that are, put out on online where, they say the top 100 most influential people, and they use data purely from Twitter, like how many people are following, how many people engage, retweet, favorite, and all that, but they don't take into account real world influence, things that they can't measure easily by just pulling in that data, which makes the list kind of BS. And so I'm wondering if that's, analogous to what Ronnie's saying.
No, but everybody knows that you can lie with statistics. It's done all the time. False advertising, people misrepresenting what their track record is. So my whole point is that looking at a chart is taking the easy way out. If you're not going to do the fundamental analysis and do comparative, comparisons between one name and the other, and if you're not looking at the valuation and the accounting and who serves on the board, there's no way you're going to beat the market using that approach.
So what is a better approach then? If you were to, because there's a lot of people in this space now that are thirsty for knowledge on how to, gauge the market. They're looking at different technical analysis. They're looking at some fundamental stuff. They're looking at things. What tips would you maybe give them to help them in their overall deciding on when to buy and sell? I know that they could, sign up for your list, but you don't talk about every one of these coins that are interested to every person. And so how do people make better decisions then on the state of when to buy, when to sell, when to trade, when to hodl?
Yeah, well, I would refer them to a passage in the Bible. It says, make sure that you are very selective with who you choose as your advisors. You can't just listen to every talking head that has 50,000 followers on Twitter. There are a lot of people like that have 50,000 or 100,000 followers on Twitter, and 95% of them don't even have an audited track record. So why are you following them? Because all of the other sheep are following them? You have to take the time to figure out who is worth listening to and who is worth taking advice from.
Well, don't listen to us because we are not financial advisors. And so let's dig then into the current state of the market regarding Bitcoin and the altcoins and where everything is at. What does your keen analysis tell you of the market right now?
Well, the problem I have with the altcoins, and obviously it doesn't bother me right now as much as it did when the market valuation was $800 billion in January. Now we're at $400 billion. So my concern is not as high now as it was 4 months ago. But my concern with the altcoins is as follows. There is a lot of speculative value built into the coin prices there. And in the next 6, 12, 18 months, if these coins don't show a utility value to validate and justify and back up the speculative value that is built into the coin price right now, they will collapse. This is the same problem that Amazon had 10 years ago. But guess what? They ended up showing us a utility that validated and justified the high PE ratio that the stock was trading at 10 years ago. So right now, if you take a platform that has a million users, for example, you're buying that coin with the expectation and hope that they have 5 or 10 million users a few years from now. And if they meet or beat those expectations, you will make money on your investment. But if the growth rate slows down or turns negative, the coin is going to collapse. And that's why you have to constantly monitor not the absolute value of the coin on CoinMarketCap, but the relative ranking. Okay, if the market drops 20% tomorrow, everything is going to drop. So you want to monitor what the ranking is on your altcoin on CoinMarketCap. If something drops 10, 20, 30 places, that is a warning sign that someone may have come out with a better mousetrap.
Okay, so as we're speaking right now, we saw Bitcoin a couple weeks ago get over 9,000, it dipped just below 8. Currently, as of this conversation, hanging in around 8,500. What's it going to take for the next bull run to trigger? I think that's what everybody's waiting on right here. And it doesn't appear regulation is coming anytime really soon.
Yeah. Well, I think that, I personally am waiting for a watershed moment. And a watershed moment would be something similar to what you had with the internet users 22 years ago. 22 years ago, there were only a few million people on the internet. And the watershed moment was when the Netscape browser came online. And that took us from, 20, 30, 40 million users on the internet to hundreds of millions of users on the internet almost overnight. And I'm expecting in the next 6, 12 months, we're going to get something like that.
Yeah.
It could come. Well, there are two ideas that I have in mind that could get us back above 20,000. The first one is right now, the average person will not go into crypto. They don't want to deal with a Trezor device. They don't want to deal with a Ledger device. They don't want to have to diversify across several different exchanges in order to hedge their the risk of having the exchange that they're in hacked. They don't want to deal with all of the inconvenience that is involved in being in crypto as an individual, having to protect the money that you have in the market. So what would be a watershed moment is if and when someone like Fidelity or E-Trade or Scottrade or the New York Stock Exchange comes out and says, listen, all you have to do is go to your online account now and click one button, and 5 or 10 or 15% of the money that you have in the stock market or bond market or cash will automatically shift over into an index fund that tracks the performance of the top 10 or 20 cryptocurrencies. So that would be one watershed moment. The other is a few foreign governments saying enough is enough. We have our own currency in our sovereign wealth fund, in our strategic reserves, and it's losing 2-3% a month in its value. We are now going to shift part of that money into cryptocurrency, which we see as a more stable place to invest in. And if a few of these countries follow suit, that alone would be enough to scoop up a lot of what the remaining supply is on the market right now. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. There's a lot of different possibilities of things that could happen. We know that in the crypto world, crypto goes up, crypto goes down. That's pretty much what happens every day. And sometimes it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme nor reason to why it goes up one day, goes down another day. And I agree on what you said about it needs to be made simpler, because most folks do not want to get on the Trezor. They don't understand that. Like you show that to some people and they got to walk through that process. They're just going to look at you with glossed over deer eyes. They're going to be like, what?
It is. I have a master's degree in finance, and I find the whole process overwhelming. I was sweating bullets for the last few months, worrying about what happens if I lose my phone or my phone dies, and I have all these Google Authenticator. I have like 5 or 6 accounts that I'm spread out across, and there's a Google Authenticator code tied to each of them on my phone. And it's really complicated to deal with.
Don't lose your phone, Ronnie. Don't lose it.
Yeah. Well, I never have lost my phone, but, it's a few years old. It could die. What happens when I upgrade from the Samsung 6 that I have right now to the Samsung 9? What happens to the Google Authenticator then? It's
basically you go
not
into
easy
the account and just deactivate it, and then you reactivate it on the new device. So it's not too hard as long as you still have the device. It's when you don't have the device that it's a big challenge.
And God forbid if you make a mistake during that process, good luck getting a hold of the exchanges and reinstating your account. Mm-hmm. Now, another thing that is not going to help here is that the consensus is that in the marketplace is that the price of Bitcoin is being manipulated. And that shakes the confidence that people have in this new asset class. I am convinced that the price was being manipulated. In fact, I posted screenshots on my Twitter page last month, actually in March, when we dropped below 9,000, 8,000, and 7,000, I posted screenshots showing people that I was buying on the way down because I was so confident in the fact that the price was being manipulated. Now, how does that happen? You have people that are worth billions of dollars, that want a diversified portfolio, just like you and I have and want. So if someone has $3 billion, let's say, and they want 10% of their money in Bitcoin, that's a $300 million position. They're not going to pay $15,000 or $20,000 for a Bitcoin. What they're going to do is they're going to dump $20, $30, $40 million of Bitcoin on the market. That's going to create selling pressure. The technical analysts then pile on with their sell signals. That creates a panic and a capitulation. And when the market capitulates, those people that dumped $20, $30, $40 million on the market quietly come in and buy back 5 or 10 times what they sold for pennies on the dollar. So the same people that were selling at 18,000, 17,000, and 16,000 were the same people that were buying at 6,000, 7,000, and 8,000 last month. So I think the individual is starting to realize that they're in a boxing ring right now with someone who is twice their size. And some people are going to say, you know what? I don't belong in the same ring with this person. I'm pulling out. Mm-hmm. And this is a currency / commodity that will sink or swim based on consumer confidence. And when people hear about these manipulation stories taking place, it shakes their confidence to the point where they say, you know what, enough is enough. I lost half of my money since January. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Playing a little rope-a-dope with Ronnie Moas in the Bitcoin ring. Exactly. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. A great friend of the show, Mr. Ronnie Moas. Thanks for chiming in with the latest. And I have a feeling you'll be back.
Yeah, I actually went to that calendar that you have where the speakers, where the people that you're interviewing book themselves. And I actually booked myself to be on your show 3 times next week.
Very nice. So exciting to hear from you again.
The website is standpointresearch.com. Go check out Ronnie Moas's stuff there. And thanks again, Ronnie.
Okay, thank you.
Big thank you to Mr. Ronnie Moas. Always love having him on the show. He's a good dude, good heart. You know what? He didn't actually mention this time that, we should reiterate because we've had such an amazing turnout from our fans. So Ronnie he participates with charity called foodforthepoor.org BTC.org/Moas. And every time you donate money to them, they're actually feeding very, very poor children around the world. They're building them houses. They're doing all kinds of epic things. He actually didn't mention it on this show, but I wanted to say, hey, foodforthepoor.org/Moas and help some children. If you've had some good crypto gains, you know what? Pay it forward. Help out some people.
Yeah, be nice. Do good stuff. All that good stuff. And thanks for listening. We appreciate that you all are here and part of the Republic of Bad Cryptopia. Don't forget that the Bad Crypto t-shirt, the one-off that Veza made for Bad Crypto Podcast on the Blood on the Podcast Floor, limited edition, only 50 are available. Go to badco.in/Veza, that's VESA, to order your t-shirt if you are really bad. You ain't bad, you ain't bad, you ain't nothing.
Yeah, you know, it was actually kind of creepy. If you look really closely at that picture of Vesa, you can actually see Joel Comm's head, severed head laying there. I guess I don't know, it's really weird. Did you see that?
No, that's gross.
Blood on the podcast floor. I don't know. It's crazy. You got to watch out who you hang out with, because
I'm gonna stop hanging out with you, Mr. Travis Wright, because you are exemplifying how to
a katana sword.
Oh, stay bad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.